Hello guys, welcome to another video. It's going to be the review of the 2026 WWE Royal Rumble. It's just finished. I'm coming straight in, which is rare for me. Normally I'll let things digest a bit, but there are a lot of talking points. Despite the fact that this show was very, very, very predictable. I went 4 for 4 in the winners. We'll go over it tonight. First impression, and I guess you get more and more raw first impression here, which is why sometimes I like to leave it like a day or so and let it digest. But sometimes when you do something instantly, you get more of the emotion, you get more of the passion come out in it. And my initial impression is 6 out of 10 show. I would say I don't think it was awful, but it wasn't great. I think the hallmark of tonight, and I released a video earlier on today that was a preview of the Royal Rumble this year, predictions. And I said one of the great things about the Royal Rumble is the surprise element. You never know who could come out, who's going to return, what kind of good spots and interactions you're going to get. And my God, man, like the accusation over the years of Triple H plays it safe, the very, very safe company. They did it again. They fucking did it. I of course, right from the off, we'll say Liv Morgan won the Women's Royal Rumble tonight. Happy for Liv, although again it was very predictable win. But still, she does deserve it overall. She missed most of last year, so I can't even argue she deserved it in terms of recent work. But Liv's great. Liv's paid her dues. She's had a long career. She had a lot of runner-ups in these big events, Rumble and Chamber, etc. So I'm happy she won. Do I think she needed to win to challenge the champion? Fuck no. I think she was the obvious choice anyway. So it's kind of a given. But yeah, not too upset about the outcome of that. I think the women's rumble was a big letdown though. We'll get to that. Not helped by the crowd at all. And there's a fucking rant in there as well, because fuck hosting these events in Saudi Arabia, man. They couldn't even be bothered to turn up for the women's rumble. Empty seats across like 80% of the arena for fucking most of it. Now, the real one that pissed me off. Roman Reigns won the Royal Rumble. Again, nothing against Roman. I don't love him as much as I'm a fan of Liv, who is probably in like my top 5 favorite women in the company. Roman is nowhere near my top 5 men, but he is one of the best. He is I said this in a preview show. He is the face of the company for me. So I can understand, again, it's predictable going for him to win it. But where I see my fucking issue with this, and this better change. If it changes, fair enough. I'll hold my hands up. Okay, you win WWE. But somehow, based on past record and a track record, I do not think this is going to be the case. He's a part-timer. Have him show up. He needs to fucking be showing up week on week, build a story with someone. I assume it's going to be CM Punk, because Roman Punk, we've not had one-on-one. Of course, they were in main event day one, well, night one last year, along with Seth Rollins in a triple threat match that was a banger. Great match, great build. Probably the best thing about Mania last year, honestly. I do think the women's triple threat was actual better match, but I think as an overall package, the star names in it, the build, the Heyman turning on both CM Punk and Roman Reigns, the outcome, the vision was great the next day. I think that was the main thing I will remember from that Mania. But he's a fucking part timer. I'm sick to death of them rewarding part time and just the same names over and over and over and over again. They did at least do good by some young stars in the men's rumble. I think the men's rumble, I'll say from the off, was much better than the women's one. Do I think it was great? No. Again, I think it was a bit of a letdown in some aspects, and I'll touch upon those. But as an actual match, I think it was better. I think the events got stronger as it went on. But yeah, my God, there were holes in it, and I'm going to pick them apart. We began with the women's rumble. I watched the pre-show. Kathy Kelly was talking to Charlotte Flair, talking about how she's going to work together with Alexa Bliss, etc., to win the Rumble. Well, that was put to the test immediately because they were number one and number two. Charlotte came out, followed by Alexa. Charlotte instantly looked really conflicted, really concerned. She was selling it well, good acting. Alexa came out smiling. She looked like she didn't have a care in the world. She was strolling along, looking as great as she normally does. Very unbothered by it. They get into the ring, and then, of course, the question is, and I touched upon this in my preview prediction show, are they going to work together? I think everyone expected one of them to eliminate the other. I predicted Charlotte would accidentally eliminate Alexa, and that's exactly what we got. I'm surprised at how early it came. It may have been a botch, but we'll touch upon that when they got to the ring. They're talking, they're putting the Mania sign. They're doing the little heart gestures that they do. They finally got merch for that recently, so they're selling that. The crowd reacted well to both of them. They are two legends. The two white blondes as well, so the Saudi crowd tends to prefer that. I don't think it's any coincidence the final three were all white blondes, by the way. But yeah, I was expecting at one point them to do the old thing. Oh yeah, it's team. Put their arm around the shoulder, back of the head, then boom, go to turn. I thought Charlotte was going to maybe do that, try and throw out Alexa. Alexa's going to put a hand on the rope, stop, and look at her. Oh, you bitch, you've done it now. And then they go at it. It was a bit more friendly. They kind of interacting. And all of a sudden, Charlotte just picks up Lexi, takes it to the turnbuckle, puts her down, but then is like, oh no, we're just playing. I'm just fucking with you. They do the hard thing again. Drop down. They kept doing that. They kind of circling around each other, acting buddy. Alexa gets Charlotte in the Sister Abigail DDT position and stops. Charlotte sweeps her legs from under, goes to do figure four, stops, gives it the old, oh yeah. So they're fucking with each other, pissing around, and just buying time for the number 3 entrance. As the countdown come on, Alexa even gets on Charlotte's back and piggyback thing. I love this duo, man. It's such an odd couple, but I don't think anyone expected it to work out as well as it did. It's going to be a great Mania feud. It's looking like it will be that way. Two big stars. The fans have generally got behind if they do right by it. And I said this in prediction show, it could be a good feud. But we'll come to why I think that's going to be the Mania match. Because first, we're kind of James out number 3. I wasn't even entirely sure Kiana would be in the Rumble. I don't think she was officially announced, was she? I'm not too sure. Kiana did well. Yeah, she looked good. She lasted longer than Alexa, actually, which is, a feat. She lasted longer than Becky Lynch. At one point, she did a Samoan drop on Nia Jax. The strength for this woman. Kiana is underrated, man. Like, she's not really clicked with Julia, I think, as a pair. I feel like they should just split them already. But I think she's starting to get a lot of appreciation with what she does. She looked the best in ring. I will say this, I don't think this first 20, 30 minutes of this Women's Rumble was great. And I'll touch upon the crowd now. Kind of made brief reference to it. WWE needs to stop going to this fucking country if they're going to continue treating the women as they are. There could be a caveat to this, perhaps. But I don't buy it. I'm sure a lot of people will come out and say, I mean, first and foremost, it looked worse than it was because they had LED lights up and stuff that you could still clearly see. Later on in the show, there were still some lights that looked at times, and it was the same at Money in the Bank last year. It looked at times like there was no one there. But then when they dimmed them a little or you looked closely, you could see people in between the lights in the seats. But even then, even later on the show, you could see empty seats amongst them, even when the lights are dimmed and stuff. For this, they had the lights flaring in the start of the Women's Rumble, but my God, man. For about the first half an hour especially, the stands were empty. I don't know what happened there, whether there was a problem with entry, or I'm thinking maybe a lot of the people were outside in the pre-show, which finished about a minute before the fucking Rumble started broadcasting. The Rumble itself, Women's Rumble, officially started Charlotte came out about 7 minutes fast. So with the entrances and then Charlotte and Alexa doing their thing for a minute and a half or so, let's say it started about 10, 10 past, something like that. They still had like 12, 13 minutes to get in this to the fucking stand. There was an argument. I said this in the previous show. Apparently, there was a lot of issue with ticket sales. There were some bots that were buying a lot of tickets and then selling them at like triple the resale price. So I think a lot of people just didn't get tickets because they were consumed by bots and placed on the black market, which is a shame. But whether whoever's fault it was, it really hurt the start of this Rumble, especially. I also don't think they structured it great. A lot of SmackDown women early in this Rumble. I would have liked more a mix. And we'll touch upon just a few people who win the Rumble. And I hate to do this because, I don't like to throw people under the bus, but there are a few people in this Rumble I just wouldn't have had in, and a few I would have had in, but went. So, kind of came in. She looked okay. I don't really understand why. And especially given how early they fell apart. Although I will add a point to this in a bit. I think it might have been a botch, Alexa's elimination. Charlotte and Alexa, and they didn't really look like a team up there. And I'll say this for a fair few. Some of them did. The Judgment Day, I think, combined at times. Rhea and Io kind of combined at one point. Rhea picks up the Io's running for a powerbomb onto someone. But I expected, and I said this in my prediction show, I expected a little more. There were so many tag teams in there. There are quite a few. You eliminated the partner before they even got in there. Like Julie got in after Kiana had gone, for example. There was another one. I can't think right now. Asuka and Kyrie were definitely in there together because we'll get to that. Yeah, there was another one. I'm sure when I'm running through, I might see it. I expected a little more teamwork. It's like Kiana went straight in, and John Alexa are fresh, not like they've been fighting, and was fucking laying them both down for a little while. What a way to book your former tag champs. Two main event level stars. Two women of 19 world champions. On the flip side, I do like that made Kiana look good. But still, man, come on. Like, fuck you do. It's baffling. They thought, after a fashion, they got control of Kiana and started beating on her. Then Nia come out at number 4, Nia Jax. She clears out everyone. Abby Nile came out. This is the first one I'll say. I don't know why she's in the Rumble. I mean, no offense to her. But at the end of the day, she can barely get booked for a match on Raw. She's had one match on Raw in the last 6 months. There are some glaring names that are going to be omitted from this Rumble. I'll get to at the end. Why is Abby Nile in the Rumble? It's just boring, man. It's like she's not over. She's not anything. It's not creative. Did they want to save the money they could have had, but getting a surprise return, or these Rumbles, they didn't have legends or anything like that in it. Was just, I think that's part of the reason why, especially recording this after it's just finished like 10 minutes ago. My snap reactions, one of kind of disappointment of how little fun they had. I can't say this without sounding like a dick to Ivy, but it's my opinion. It's my review. It is what it is. I wouldn't have had it in this Rumble. Number 6, at least, was a creative entry. We had Lola Vice come in. Lola being one of the women from NXT in the Rumble, I'm happy with. I said in early reviews on this channel, I would have had a debut on SmackDown already. I would have had it during the ambulance match. I would have had her in the ambulance who chases off Zelina. Maybe you could have dragged something out with them up until this Rumble, now them interact. Because Lola helping Priest would have made sense. A lot of people at the time, a lot of fucking Rhea fanboys were just idiots. Oh, but it's the Terror Twins. It makes sense. The fans won't know that Lola's linked with Damian Priest. Bro, the commentator could get across that in like a second. It's not hard. Like, fuck me. Or you could do that in subsequent weeks. Yeah, I'm sure Lola will end up in the main roster at some point this year. She looked great. She came in, did her usual moves, her strikes, her double kicks. Her double kicks look awful, to be honest, but I love Lola, so I'm not going to. I think she's a great wrestler. I watched her wrestle Kalani a few weeks ago, and man, they have great chemistry. They always have good matches. Oh, that's great. Candice LeRae in at number 7, and she is the other one who, unlike Ivy, I just kind of, it's harsh with Ivy. She's obviously a good wrestler and stuff. She's got an intimidating look, but I would release her. I'm not going to lie. I mean, she's had the chance to go. She's never done it. Candice LeRae is one of the best wrestlers there. I would use her more, but I think she's great. From a kayfabe perspective, from the way the company has presented this person perspective, she shouldn't be in the Rumble. I cannot remember the last time this woman wrestled a match on SmackDown. I think she wrestled in a lot of the qualifying matches. She was kind of used to put Alexa over. I think Alexa kept she kept taking a pin to her to qualify for Elimination Chamber and Money in the Bank. Was Candice even in Queen of the Ring? I think she was, because I think again Alexa pinned her in that. So yeah, she was kind of Alexa's punching bag for a lot of the summer, and then just never seen again. Besides, from ringside helping her husband Johnny Gargano, but she was in there. Jordan Grace then entered, and at this point, the eliminations started happening. A lot of them. We had 5 before the next entrance. One by one, Jordan Grace came in and eliminated Lola Vice, Ivy Nile, and Candice LeRae. Dumped all of them over. And then Charlotte, Nia's trying to put Alexa over. She gets her in like a powerbomb position. Alexa kind of does the roll over. Nia goes over with her. They're both still in the apron. Charlotte, big boot to Nia Jax, who looked like she had hold her arm on Alexa. Nia falls out, drops out, and then Alexa. The camera angle here, I don't think helped. I think it was designed to stop us seeing Charlotte reaching out to grab her. This is the only elimination in this whole night where I feel like it was a botch. And I'll explain why. You could see Alexa try and scramble. It was very much it happened kind of slowly. She's fallen, the momentum's going back, and she's trying to reach out. You can see Charlotte. Like I said, you couldn't see this fully because the camera's kind of behind Alexa. You can just about see over her shoulder. She's not the tallest. You can see Charlotte try and reach, but all of a sudden, before you know it, bam, she falls out, hits the side. They didn't have an elimination graphic for this. They had one for Nia, but they didn't have one for Alexa. I feel like what was supposed to happen to Charlotte afterwards as well genuinely looked like, oh shit. Maybe they're just selling it well. Whether if this was sooner than it should have been, I think both of them acted out really well. Alexa right away looked at her like she looked shocked. She kind of looked drowned herself, which also sold me on. But she started doing the upset look at Charlotte. Like, who knows? That could have been real if it was a botch. Yeah, if that was the case, it's unfortunate because the alternative that was planned. I don't understand it, man. I feel like it's way too soon. I said many times, if you watched any of my videos before, you will know I'm slightly biased here, I guess. Alexa is my favorite wrestler in the company. But even like if she wasn't, I'm enough of a wrestling fan and I know what's better for business, I think, that you shouldn't be eliminating someone like her so early. She's a decorated champ. She is main event level. She's extremely over, one of the most popular women in the roster. You had to come out eliminated before number 9 was out. It has to have been a botch. Because as well, Charlotte, spoiler alert, ended up being the Iron Woman. Spoiler alert on a review. They just have it. This will have a lot of spoilers. Yeah, she ended up being the Iron Woman, Charlotte. I feel like Alexa was supposed to last another 20 minutes, probably. But they fucked that up, possibly. We'll see. Maybe WWE Unreal will dump the lid on that. Um, I think Charlotte was eliminated. When was it? She was like 24 or 25. I feel like that was always the plan to have Charlotte accidentally. You could maybe put in inverted commas, was accidental. Um, I think they're obviously going to go in that direction, and there is the Mania match. It will be Charlotte versus Alexa. It's kind of like the equivalent of last year's Jade versus Naomi. You know, you've always got to have a friends who fell out 1v1 feud at Mania, and there's the women's one this year. No sooner did one legend who didn't last long enough in this Rumble go out, then another one entered. Becky Lynch come out, number 9. It's one thing that does make me think, a small part of me thinks maybe this was planned, is because this kind of worked out nicely in terms of Becky's entrance, because Charlotte's kind of hanging over the ropes, looking at down, like horrified at what she's done. Oh shit, accidentally eliminated an attack partner. She's making the eyes at Becky, and Becky's looking at her. You had to have an interaction between them. And then they go in, and Charlotte's doing the chops, and Becky's getting her offense in, etc. Um, so yeah, I'm glad that we had some four horsewomen interaction there. Sol Ruka come in at number 10, and Sol is one of the bright spots of this rumble that I think otherwise was pretty mid. Um, she lasted until the final 3. She looked great. I don't think she did too much in a consistent basis, but she did have some spots in there. She did get a number of soul snatches off. I feel like it's kind of a template now, to have an NXT girl in there who makes it late. There's always one, and it's just, which one is it going to be? We saw that with Roxanne last year, for example. Sol was this year's one. Really, really happy. They obviously see a lot in her. I mean, it's hard not to. She's got the look, she's got the moves, she's got the character. Has she got the promo and stuff yet? Maybe not, but it's a work in progress. They gave her the match on Cena's retirement tour, which says a lot. Yeah, really happy she was given a good showing tonight. Excuse me. Roxanne Perez came in at 11. Then it was Maxine Dupree, number 12, followed by Natty. Of course, Maxine went straight after Becky. They brawled. Natty comes in. Maxine looks around like that's off that point where Maxine's kind of the only one stood in the ring or like paying attention. Like she looked like, oh shit. Because Natty is cut a promo recently on Raw, this Monday's Raw, vowing to take out Maxine. She never did really explain why she actually turned on it. It was just like, I made you and you disappointed me. Why? Because she lost a title that no one expected her to win anyway. And she almost won it, but she had it won back, were it not for your interruption. Like, what? Against Becky Lynch, who's possibly the GOAT. It's like, what the fuck was this justification, man? It's just bullshit. I was like, ugh. So I don't really give much of a fuck about this prospective feud. It's kind of cool having all 3 of them in. And they all went at it. Becky eliminated Maxine, and then Natty eliminated Becky. I can't believe Becky Lynch was in this Rumble so low. One thing I'll say here and now, but another reason why I'm thinking maybe Charlotte Alexa thing was a botch. Pretty early on in this Rumble, it showed you, they had the match graphics still, and it's like, who was active in the Rumble? And it was, yeah, by this point, looking at these names now, Charlotte, number 1 active, and then the next was like Sol, number 10. So all the women in the first 10, except Charlotte, were out really, really fucking early. I think, to be fair, they kind of did this in the men as well. But I think they made a very concerted effort this year to not have too many Iron Women because of the bodysuit they have to wrestle in. But if you're going to have one in Charlotte, why would you not have Alexa with her for most of the time? I feel like that would make sense. And then I think the idea was to get them to like the final 10, whatever it was, when Charlotte went out. I think she was on like the final 8. And then have them fall apart. So, yeah, I mean, looking at the entry list here, Alexa number 2, Kiana 3, Nia 4, Ivy 5, Lola 6, Candice 7, Jordan 8, Becky 9. They were all out in like the first 20 minutes. It was very noticeable change in that. And yeah, I just wonder whether it was because of that concerns about are they going to get tired or, really like dehydrate or just really struggle wrestling for so long in the bodysuits. But yeah, look at shit like that, and it just makes me think like it makes me so pessimistic for the Rumble, man. Especially when the crowd, they're not even bothered to fucking show up. They only really started filling the actual stands about half an hour into this match. And even by the end of the women's match, I would say the stands were only three-quarters full. Maybe by the start of the next match, it's like 85% full, and then it kind of stopped there for the rest of the event. Yeah, I don't get it. Once Becky was eliminated, Liv entered number 14, followed by Lash Legend. Liv was my predicted winner, I'll say right from the off. You talk about a predictable event. I predicted all 4 things tonight. I'm not even going to like brag about or anything because I think most people think, to be fair. Liv and Roman were the bookies' favourites. Liv entered the 14, one from there, so she did last quite long. Lash entered the 15. Now, this one I will take props up because I predicted Lash Legend will get the most eliminations, and she went on to do so. She got one almost instantly, and this is another rant. She eliminated Jordan Grace. Why the fuck would you focus so much recently on Jordan Grace versus Jade Cargill and have her out so early? Half the Rumble, field hadn't even fucking entered yet. She's gone. Yes, you could say they gave her 3 eliminations. To be fair, they gave her a lot of offense, come in and do a lot of strong moves to a lot of people, including like Charlotte, who was this year's Iron Woman. Still, man, I feel like that's bad. You've got to have at least in the top 10. Have some foresight. She's being pitched as someone who could maybe take down your champ. I never expected it to be Jade. I don't think she will. I mean, she's just there for Jade to. I don't know what now because Bianca never returned tonight. That's another thing I did predict, and I will brag on that one. Because a lot of people just assumed she was coming back. But anyway, we'll get to it. I think it was bad eliminating this way. But I do like that they gave Lash a lot of eliminations, made her look strong. Who knows? Maybe they're even gearing up to Lash versus Jade. Oh, damn, Mania. Anyway, number 16 was Lena. Number 17, Raquel. So all 3 of the Judgment Day ladies were in. And they began to team up instantly. Raquel eliminated Kiana, saving Liv and Roxy. They all 3 of them were on the outside rope at that point. So yeah, great show from Kiana James. I mean, her stock's rising. She outlasted a lot of women you'd maybe not expect her to, like Becky, like who's the IC champ, like Maxine, the former IC champ, like Alexa, a 5-time champ, like Jordan Grace, who's effectively number 1 contender and SmackDown World title right now. She looked good. And the Judgment Day ladies would just continue to kind of team up, not to the extent that I expected them to, but I do think of all the factions, they were the one that interacted and gelled well the most up until a later point, which we'll cover. Chelsea Green come out at 18. Everyone loves Chelsea. Crowd pop. Julia come out at 19. Crowd don't usually pop for Julia really much here, but they didn't for a lot of women in this fucking match, honestly. They did for Io, though, who was up next, number 20. And then Asuka came out. I love how the 3 Joshis, which is one after another here. Julia, and Io, and Asuka. Asuka's great. She come in. She did a little spot. I love that she had an interaction with Io and Julia. Julia's kind of holding it. They're kind of both teaming up in Io. At one point, Io moves out the way. Asuka kicks Julia in the head. And then just fucking went berserk. She's shouting at her. She beats her. Heel Asuka's fucking great. Io then got help. Next out was Rhea. This was probably the biggest pop ball one. Before the next entrance, Julia eliminates Zelina. They have some previous, of course. Julia became US champ for the first time by defeating Zelina Vega and then beat her in a rematch, which is still the last good singles match between the women we've had on SmackDown. In fact, last good women's match, full stop, I would say. Rhea then eliminates Chelsea and Roxanne. I mean, I don't know where the rest of the Judgment Day were. I don't know where Liv and Raquel were when this happened. She just gets Roxanne up. She eliminated Chelsea first. A couple of times Chelsea had almost been eliminated in this match, but Alba, who also entered the ring at one point, just got fucking sent over. Alba stopped her. She went on hands and knees, allowed Chelsea to put her feet on her back, and kind of kept her in. But eventually, of course, it's going to be a comedy of errors with Chelsea. It's going to be a bit slapstick. They do this shit every year. She almost gets even. She gets saved by her hairs. But eventually she gets flopped over. She gets sent into Alba. Zelina had already been eliminated. I don't actually remember who the women were that caught Roxanne, but I assume it's them three. Zelina, Rhea, Zelina, Chelsea, Alba. Because Rhea picked up Roxanne and just fucking launched it out the ring. Reminded me of the spot Raquel did to Alexa Evolution. Just bam. And Roxanne was gone surprisingly early. I wouldn't have Roxanne out so soon, but I guess there were three Judgment Day ladies. The ring was filling up. If one of them had to go, it kind of had to be Roxanne, I guess. Because you don't want Raquel to look 2 weeks. She's taken on Stephanie Vaquer in the one contender match. Don't even know why Raquel was in this match, honestly. I love Raquel. I'm not going to complain about it too much, but just, it's a question. Why would you have them in the one contender in a match? There are more questions than answers. Oh, this show, man. Which is why I gave it 6 out of 10. Bailey in number 23. We love Bailey. Everyone loves Bailey. Her music's fucking shit, though. It needs to change. Number 24, JC Jane. I'm going to stop for a sec because my battery, I just realized, it's deadly low. I'm going to run a charge. Grab charge. Hi, thanks. JC entered at number 24. I like JC a lot. I don't understand why she has still has some haters. It's fucking baffling to me. I think she's done great work. The NXT Women's Championship. I think she's good in ring. She's got charisma. She's got a confidence. The way she holds herself as champ. So I'm happy she was in. I said I predicted the lineup. She has to be NXT Women's Champ. One thing I will say, I've only just realised this. It's fucking weird. There was no one from TNA in either Rumble tonight. Not even Leon Slater. That is fucking weird. I didn't actually predict Leon Slater to be in the men's Rumble, but I had him on the short list of possibilities. But looking at some of the people they did have in, we'll get to that. It's strange, man. They're kind of partnered TNA. I think they normally get the champion on. I predict Lei Ying Lee would be in this, who is TNA Knockouts champion. But she wasn't. Yeah, of course, the NXT champion had to be in there. JC was in at 24. Liv eliminated Natty before this with the help of the Judgment Day. Again, it looked like Natty was going to eliminate Liv, but Raquel helped. Nikki Bella comes out number 25. Then Lyra came out number 26. Bailey had some help. Lyra eliminated Julia. Number 27. We had another NXT talent, Kalani James, and Wade. I'm laughing because Wade Barrett kept calling her Kalani James. Did I just do that myself? Actually, like Kalani Jordan, her name is. Um, Kalani's going to take the fall here, unfortunately. I like Kalani a lot. Last year, NXT representation, you had Roxanne, Julia, Stephanie Vaquer, Jada Parker, Lash Legend, and Kalani. Pretty sure Kalani was in the Rumble last year. This year, Sol Ruka was in, who wasn't last year. Tracy was in, who wasn't last year. Lola was in, who wasn't last year. Blake Monroe never made it to this Rumble, and I don't understand. They were the four I predicted. They were the ones I predicted. I also, my first draft had Tatum in, and they didn't have fucking Tatum in, which is disappointing to me. I don't get it. Kalani shouldn't have been in. If she's on a one, I would have probably dropped out. Yeah. I'll give my substituted, all my names I would have in over whoever at the end, I guess. Number 28 was Kyrie before number 29 entrance, and I cannot believe how they structured this. It's so bad. Again, like, who was the match producer in this? Maybe if there was a botch and Alexa went out sooner than she should have, they had to kind of improvise stuff, and it might fuck the order of things up. But I don't see how it would with this. Because Kyrie entered at 28, eliminated Asuka by mistake. Her and Io were scrapping, Asuka ends up on the outside, holding Io. Kyrie almost accidentally knocks Asuka. She kind of stops the last second because Io moves out the way. He knocks Kyrie into Asuka. Asuka starts to fall. She's screaming. Kyrie's trying to hold on. Asuka's got her hands on the rope. Kyrie's holding her hands. And Io basically like nudged Kyrie into knocking Asuka off. Then Io, obviously Kyrie's distraught. She's looking out to her. Oh no. Io then eliminated Kyrie in one of the most pathetic looking eliminations I've ever seen. She just kind of like flopped over, hit the rope, and then just fell. Fucking, there was like a spring. It kind of just stopped and then it just went across. But then you're thinking, Asuka's obviously going to give her a lot of shit. She's looking daggers at Kyrie. She does one of her best. I'm not even going to try and impersonate. My voice is already gone because I did a fucking preview show today as well. And what doing them? Was Asuka going to assault Kyrie as usual, like slap her and something? But is then Kyrie gonna fight back? Are they finally gonna break apart? And could this be like a feud? I don't think this necessarily be a Rumble match, Mania match. It probably deserves to be, but they've only got so many matches in the card. I think if they did Charlotte Lex a feud, that would obviously take precedent. But will there be something developed between them? Would there that night? We don't know because Asuka looks furious. She's yelling in Japanese at Kyrie. She grabs her by the hair, picks her up, almost like she's about to lead her off. And I'm thinking, oh, she's gonna like throw her head into the ring post or maybe put her through a table. I'm thinking, wow, we might have a long track on the outside here where they really like brawl and she's just gonna lay Kyrie out. Or the opposite, Kyrie finally snaps and sacks Asuka. But we'll never know because she grabs her. And they had to cut away. It's number 29 entrances. The time has gone down by now. And Brie Bella came out. This is one return, the only surprise, etc. I did not predict at all. People have said for a long time, no, Brie can come back because Nikki's back and stuff. And she just never has. I have nothing against the woman. I don't care to see fucking Brie. I don't even care to see Nikki Bella. Brie was always my favourite of the two, actually. But I don't give a fuck, man. I will say this: the crowd did. This was probably the biggest pop. Well, this was the biggest pop of anyone in this Rumble, I think. Nothing, nowhere near the kind of pop Alexa got last year with her return, or Naomi the year before. But this was pretty sizable. You could tell it would be good, I guess, if Brie was backstage because Nikki got a good reaction as well. For some reason in Saudi, they love the Bellas. That's probably the year WWE was finally fucking shown in Saudi TV or something. So to them, these Nikki Bella was the innovator that the WWE likes to pretend that she is. Fucking the Bellas weren't good wrestlers. They weren't good on promo. I'm sure they're lovely women. I don't give a fuck, man. I don't care to see them. Wasted spot. Number 30 was Tiffany, which I did predict. It's another prediction I got bang on. Really happy with. I said the number 30 entrant now because it became apparent of who wasn't in the Rumble. And the three glaring omissions here, especially the first. AJ Lee wasn't there. I'm really, really surprised. She's come back and obviously came back for Wrestlepalooza, the mixed tag match with her husband CM Punk against Becky Lynch and her husband Seth Rollins. And since then, she has only appeared in War Games. So I think a lot of the assumption was she's just going to be back for the big PLEs. Evidently, she just didn't fancy going to Saudi. Maybe she, unlike her husband, is still stuck by the fuck Saudi opinion. I'm never going there. Who knows? Maybe they needed someone to stay home to, for whatever reason, for business. Who knows? I don't know why she wasn't there. I think a lot of people expected her to be there. I'd have liked her to have been there. But to be honest, even after Becky got eliminated, I was like, well, is there much of a point in being there? I thought they would have an interaction and maybe start building towards a Mania match. I'm sure we'll see AJ at Mania in some capacity. Maybe even the Chamber, but I'm just surprised she wasn't in this Rumble, honestly. Very, very surprised. No Paige. If we're going to have a legend return, they reached out to Brie Bella. Why not reach out to Paige, who's a much bigger legend than Brie fucking Bella, man? I hate to throw Brie under the bus here, like I said. I don't actually mind her. Just she could barely keep up in the Divas era, man. Nikki too. So you look how dated Nikki is. Nikki was better in the ring than Brie. I think Brie's just a better personality, more charisma, and than Nikki. But Nikki was also, I would say, probably better on the mic. I think Brie's appearance might well just be a one-off. Um, her husband still works for AEW, of course, Brian Anderson and O'Brien. So is she going to become a full-time WWE talent? I don't think so. Paige could have been there. If you brought her back, she could have been. I was saying before, it's not like going to be one of them returns on proper amped full. Because Paige's best years, I do think, are behind her. They were really stolen, her best years, by injury and personal problems. But she was great, man. At one point, in her pomp, she was a great wrestler, technical wrestler. She had everything. She had the promo ability. She had the look. She was very unique look in terms of she was the answer diva and stuff. It was right there to sign her up. But like I said, this Rumble will always be remembered for me, by me, for a few things. The most predictable Rumble ever. I literally predicted every winner. That's crazy. I've never once in my life predicted both the winners of both Rumbles. I would estimate. You know, no real surprise return besides Brie. WWE will frame it as, oh, Tiffany returning was, Tiffany coming back was a return. It wasn't. And yeah, she was on hiatus. She was taking a break, but everyone fucking knew she was coming back. It wasn't like groundbreaking. She was fucking advertising the show. I think, like, during the Cena retirement weekend a couple of months ago. It was like, what, 7 weeks ago? We all knew she was coming back. But Ivy, Candice, and Kalani, I wouldn't have had in there. Nothing against Kalani at all. She was in last year. So I like giving it to a load of NXT girls who didn't have it this year. Now Blake Van Bro, man, contact her. Where does she go? What is up with Blake? What has happened? Is this punishment still for the way she lost the North American Women's Championship? I feel like it is. I feel like they just lost faith in her. I said in my 2025 review thing, I don't know what video it was. I've said it at some point, said in the past. I like to portion blame for that. I would err slightly more on Fear being at fault because I think she covered both. I think she pinned Blake's arms under between Fear's back and Blake's chest, so she couldn't really roll her up. Still, it was just, it's no one's fault. It's accidental. It happens. Shit happens. But since then, and this happened, what, like a week before Christmas, Blake was supposed to have a rematch with Thea Hale, got cancelled. She attacked Thea. Ava cancelled the match. She got sent home. She got barred from the ring. So she looked like a joke. I said at the time, maybe this is because uh, WWE have considered her for the main roster. That was the rumor going around at the time, and Sean didn't want to like put the title on her, which makes sense if she's might well be called up for the main roster. Then she's had a feud with Jada. Still not had a match. She's not had a match since then. So it's over 5 weeks now. She's fucking obscene. In fact, it's more like 6 weeks. It's coming up to 6 weeks now since her last match. She wasn't at the house shows. I said this in my preview show. I was really confident Blake was going to be in the Rumble because they had live events Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Maybe she wasn't Saudi as a standby. For all we know, she could have been a standby, or maybe, there was if that can happen. Like Alexa apparently was decided to be in the Rumble really late last year. She was doing contract negotiations. I think there was rumors of a standstill and stuff. I remember she did an interview where she was said it was as short term as she got a call the night before, got asked if she could make it to Indianapolis, flew out and was just there on the day. So about 20 hours before the Rumble, she's fucking asleep at home basically, just sat around at home. It can be that quick. And in that case, I think it was Shotzi. Blackheart was taken out. Maybe something like that happened with Blake, because I can't understand why she's not on the NXT live shows even. It's daunting. It's looking bad. Like, did they not realize what they got from Mariah May? She is the biggest name in NXT. For the work they've done for NXT, I don't necessarily, um, I understand why they would have Kalani and Sol and JC and Lola on and not Blake in that regard. But still, she is a star. She's proven she can get over and be a world champ. She was the world champ of the second biggest wrestling company in the world, AEW. She was involved in what I consider to be the greatest feud in women's history with Toni Storm. I thought this was a surefire. She's in the Rumble, man. In fact, she's not. She's not even making live shows. I should maybe talk about this more when it comes to like next time I'm reviewing NXT, but yeah, I don't know. At least she's in a feud with Jada, who is one of the top girls in NXT. But very, very disappointed that she wasn't in this Rumble. Tiffany did come in at last. Great to see Tiffany again. I'm not the biggest Tiffany fan, but I'm not a detractor of hers at all. A lot of people are. A lot of people shit on her reign. It's boring, it's mid, it's this, it's that. Yeah, it was for a long period. I think it had a good start. It got worse as it went on. But that's because the bookers. She was left with just Nia and Jade as challengers for like the last 6 months. Because Charlotte and Alexa were put in the tag division. Bianca's injured. And they moved Naomi to fucking Raw for one moment, which was a great moment, of course. Naomi's cash in. Loved Naomi's run last year. But it just left. I would love to have been a fly in the wall. Tiffany Stratton's house. The moment she found out Naomi is going to Raw. And Charlotte and Alexa are going to be challenging for the tag titles again at SummerSlam. She's obviously thinking, like, what the fuck? Who am I fighting then? Like, I bought her as world champ. I think she is world champ material. I expected it to go far, and she did. She ended up running up Tiff. Yeah, it's good to see her back. I hope she doesn't just kind of disappear again. And she's like straight back in the mix on SmackDown. I'm beginning to think it might be fucking Tiffany and Jade at Mania again, honestly. Which just, oh. Because if they do Charlotte Alexa at Mania, what else can they do for Jade? Maybe Bianca will be back for that, but I don't know. We're on for the elims. At this point, there's how many? Like eight, nine women left. The Bellas eliminated Bailey and Lara. In kind of a spot where they're both on the outside. They both did kind of like a Hurricane Rana position, head takeout down and just drag them. JC eliminate Kalani. Had some NXT on NXT violence here. And that continued because Sol then eliminated Jace. Lash Legend then sprung into action. She did one elimination before then, Jordan Grace. My prediction was kind of looking the shit that she's going to be the one who eliminates the most people. But then I was validated. She eliminated both Bellas, then Charlotte, who was the Iron Woman, then Io as well. And yeah, damn man, if that's not an indicator that they really do have high hopes for Lash Legend, then I don't know what is, because she really, I wouldn't necessarily say had a breakout show, and they've obviously already shown a lot of faith in her. They put her in War Games with a lot of stacked women. The face team on the women's side was legendary. Like, I doubt that will ever be beaten for Star Power, honestly. They had something like 29 world titles between them all, I think. Charlotte Flair had like half of them because it's short moment. But yeah. And the heel team was led by Becky and I'd ask her on. So no slouches there. Multiple time world champ as well. And everyone loves Kai. She then went over at Alexa in like minutes. She's pinned her, then caused Alexa to get pinned by Kiana and SmackDown as well. She did take a defeat to Charlotte in that time, I think. But still, she's in the ring with these women, and she eliminated her in this Rumble. Eliminating Io as well, that's huge, man. Because Io is arguably positioned better right now than even Alexa and Charlotte. So yeah, I mean, I don't know how much teaming up with Nia is doing for her, I guess, but it's nice to have a veteran kind of guide her through the open parts of the business. I do think they work okay as a team. I guess that's another example of this. I think Lash. Yeah, I was trying to remember the examples of Julia got in after Kiana had already been eliminated, and Lash got in after Nia had already been eliminated. So she did a lot of this on her own. She ended up with 5 eliminations because Rhea then eliminated Lash shortly after. They kind of had a big stare down part where Rhea went for headbutt, I think, or the big boot or something. And the commentators even told them such. Rhea kind of looked at her a bit shocked that Lash kind of was still standing. She took the hit and it was a look back. Fucking Dragon Ball Z moment, man, where like Cell bulks up to his max, perfect Cell. He punches Gohan. Gohan goes like that. Turns on and just looks at him like, best you got. It was like that. They had a back and forth. Rhea did eventually manage to eliminate Lash. At this point, I'm not going to lie. I was beginning to fear Rhea would win. And you've heard me glaze Rhea so much. She's one of the best in the world. I'd probably put Rhea and Io as the top 2. Bianca is probably third when she's fit. But I did not want to see this woman win. And I was beginning to think at that point, oh, she's going to win, isn't she? She didn't know, because Raquel eliminated Rhea. And it was a convincing elimination as well, man. She just picked her up, powerbombed her. Boom. Rhea took a hell of a bump. Instantly, Liv Morgan appeared from nowhere. She just materialized. She popped up, grabbed Raquel's legs, picked her up, launched her over as well. It was the obligatory stare off. I thought Liv at least would sell it as, sorry, what can you do? Kind of thing. But it's Liv. Like, she was just laughing at her. She didn't give a fuck. It's made me laugh. She's like, hey. She's just like, yeah, that's the business, man. It's the business we're in. That's the match. Fuck you, basically. She did everything but do a fucking L sign to Raquel. So they're obviously building tension there. Raquel has a match against Stephanie Becker. Is she going to win the world championship? I could see this. I think the odds of Raquel winning have gone up. I'm warming to the idea. I love Stephanie Becker. I love Raquel and that. But what is a more interesting Mania match? Liv versus Raquel or Liv versus Stephanie? Well, it's the former. And if they do the former, I would even manifest the story in a way that Roxanne gets caught in the middle and then they all end up going at each other and it's a triple threat match. You could even make it Fatal 4 by adding Steph. Personally, I wouldn't do that, but yeah, either combination of the Judgment Day women, I think that's what I'd end up doing. So yeah, some seeds planted there. There were three left at that point. Then there were three. Like I said, all of them were bonds. I do like that the last three here were one each from Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. Really reminds me of the Women's Battle Royale, which Stephanie Becker won to then go on to win the World Championships. That happened at Evolution. On that day, it was Nia from SmackDown, Vaquer from Raw, and Lash from NXT. This time it was Liv from Raw, Tiffany from SmackDown, and Sol from NXT. Did a lot of back and forth. There was a double Soul Snatcher at one point. It looked great. Well, I say look great. I think Liv had to really move into it. If you look at the Soul Snatcher, most of the time it is the person taking it who kind of positions themselves that into the movie. Tiffany was just a little more set. It's difficult for the person anticipating the move, obviously, to know exactly where to stand until Sol begins flipping, turn around, but Liv saved it. They all end up on the outside the ring through some positional shenanigans. Liv maneuvers, I think, so Sol's in the middle. Sol goes for a Soul Snatcher, and Tiffy just grabs it and pushes her off. Very similar elimination later on. The Gunter does to Pentagon. And Sol finished third. Then, out of nowhere, the second hit, Sol was 11. Liv did what looked like an Oblivion attempt. I don't think it looked great, but it did the job. She kind of did a Oblivion onto the corner of the ring post, and Tiffany was out. Tiffany run it up, Liv wins. It was predictable. Liv is really she's gone up a level for sure in the last few years. I'm really happy that she did. I can go back to Love and Live now because in the build up to a lot of this Mania, I've been really pissed off. A lot of this build up to this Rumble, I've been really pissed off by how many of our fans were just dismissing every other one in the Rumble. At the end of the day, they were right, I guess. Still, there were other options you could have got. I look at my predictions now. So I had Liv to win. That was right. I pulled down who I'd like to win, which is Alexa, that she got nowhere near. But I did predict that Charlotte would accidentally eliminate her. It just happened way sooner than I thought. Like I said, it might have been a botch. So if that is the case, then case or I predicted number one entrance would be Charlotte Flair. I got that right. And number two would be Becky Lynch. Got that wrong. Alexa was number two, Becky was number nine. I predicted the Iron Woman would be Lyra. I was way off. Lyra didn't enter until, what number was it? 26. And then the Iron Woman was Charlotte Flair. And then I would say Liv was surely second. Oh, Sol. Sol probably spent the second longest amount of time in action. And Liv third, I guess. Charlotte was just short of an hour, I think. It's 59 minutes to some concern. Some appreciation for her, man. Wrestling. And she wrestled on Friday night as well. Her and Alexa versus Roxanne and Liv. So she wrestled well over an hour in 24 hours in a fucking bodysuit. That's why she's the queen, man. She is one of the goats, for sure. I would only rank Becky ahead of her, I think. I had most of the limbs as as Lash. That was correct. And most of the interaction kind of, I predicted a lot of type groups would kind of threaten to dissolute here, and that happened as well. We had Tiffy, we had Asuka and Kyrie falling apart. We had Charlotte Lexer, looked like there could be tension there. And who was the other one? Liv and Raquel. Congratulations, Liv. I don't think it is much of a surprise in terms of as well. She's very well liked in Saudi. I think there was a big cheer went up. A lot of people are happy for her. I think the ref had to tell her to point at the mania. She almost celebrated too long. They forgot to do it. Yeah, it's kind of a tradition. You have to do it. So then eventually she went up and said, "Oh, sure." All right, next up we had Gunther versus AJ. I was a fool in my prediction video before because I said the villain, the legendary AJ's career. I thought maybe they put the championship match first, after the Women's Rumble. But of course, forgot Gunther is in the Rumble. I even predicted he will be in the Rumble as well because he declared for it. He said he'd do double duty. So of course, to give him time to recuperate, they're going to put this one on first. It was a good match. I expected it to be. It was everything I expected it to be, I should say, because there was a lot of submission holds, etc. There were a lot of back and forths. It was kind of stiff and brutal and really hard hitting. AJ cut his arm at some point. Gunther ended up winning. It's sad, man. It is sad. You've got to appreciate what this guy's done. Now, I hope he appears on Raw in 2 days' time. Where are they for that? Are they still sad, actually? I assume they are. If they are, yeah, I'm sure he will make some kind of appearance and they'll do some kind of tribute to him. He's not retiring for good. But yeah, as far as last matches go, this was fine. I only took notes for the two Rumble matches here. So I'm really going off memory here. I'm not gonna lie. It's bad to say this actually. I'm saying it was a great match. I don't remember too many spots in terms of notable things to talk about here. But it was a good match. I enjoyed it. I was invested. There wasn't elements of unknown still. I predict Gunther would win. He did. I think a lot of people, it became more and more likely by the day for a lot of the way WWE behaving with AJ that he was going to lose. I said this in my previous show. They gave him the Shinsuke match at short notice. They gave the Punk match because if he'd have retired without taking on Punk, man, the amount of people who would have buried credit for allowing that decision to happen. So yeah, it was unfortunate. The way it happened, I didn't expect a submission or anything like that. I didn't expect AJ to tap out. But Gunther got him in a sleeper hold. I think the last 5 minutes or so was a lot of Gunther getting sleeper, AJ just about escaping his clutches. Kind of reversing it, looking like he's going to get the better hand, but he could never quite pin this fucker down. Gunther. He would always get back up and turn the tables on him quickly. Hard hitting, bruising affair was. AJ ends up tapping. Ends up passing out. The ref lifts his hand one time and looks like he's gone. Drops and rings the bell. He's had exceptional career. Really has. TNA is his home. I imagine that's going to be where he retires. If that was the case, he did just want to retire earlier on in the year to give himself time to go back there and work with who he wants. Maybe he will even go to AEW. I expect it. There are obviously some great matches there for him he could do as well. Or, even if he didn't want to strictly go to AEW, he could go to some random shows and work with an Ospreay or an Omega or an MJF or something like that. It was sad, man. This one got me. Not gonna lie. You know, you've seen Cena go. Now you've seen AJ go. When I've come back to watch wrestling after so long without watching, I was never a big TNA viewer. You know, AJ Styles was one of the guys that I knew from like, time gone. I feel like a lot of the guys from my era when I was last watching, when I was the biggest wrestling fan, really, are kind of fallen one by one now. And it's all thanks to Gunther. They're fucking, they're doing a job. They're getting the heat. Career killer claims another career. AJ sold it really, really well after the match. You know, he kind of came to and so he looked really confused, really despondent. And I'm looking at the ref and they're like, oh, I think commentator's selling it well. I think AJ's just realised, you know, because in kayfabe he's passed out. And then he's come to like, oh, fuck, that's it. And it dawned on him that that was it. Um, the crowd did you had to have the obligatory cut the camera to the crowd moment where they're all shocked, like, and Wade Barrett saying, I've never heard silence like this. Yeah, I mean, it happens. It was like this during the Cena match as well. To be fair, I think it was probably not the greatest crowd to do that spot with, because I think for large periods of this event, this crowd were just dog shit. Other periods, they were great. There's such a fickle crowd side, it's weird. They'll pop big for a big bell and then not pop at all for a lot of people who I would expect them to. They just didn't give a fuck about most of that women's match. Um, yeah, they're saying to him, "Don't go, no, no, no." He took off. He went to take off his gloves, his signature gloves, and I'm thinking, oh, he's going to do the spot like Undertaker's done in the past, like John Cena did, where he leaves his gear in the middle of the ring and walks off, and then he decided to strap them back up. Whether that's just responding to the crowd in the moment, they're saying no, no, no. I don't know whether that was planned. That might be an indicator for me that he's starting to take them off, and then he thinks no, he puts them back on. That's because he's forced to retire from WWE now, but he's not done with wrestling. I think that was an indicator. Yes, I will continue, just not here. He will go to TNA, maybe AEW. I just don't see it. I think it'll be TNA. And yeah, I mean, will we see him in the Hall of Fame this year? I think that's a possibility too. And maybe why he decided to retire in the Rumble rather than Mania. He didn't necessarily want to have a match at Mania. Like, if he had a career ender match at Mania and was also going to Hall of Fame, maybe it would have been slightly more predictable. The fact he did actually retire at Rumble. Now I look back, like, yeah, Shinsuke did really fuck up when he made that message. Caution. I talked about that in the previous show. Yeah, man. Sad to see him go. We pay a tribute, respect for what he's done in the business, and what he's done in WWE. AJ is one of the greats, and I think it was the right man to do it. They kind of had to have Gunther win here. I think it was done well. Before the match, if you'd have told me, you know, he'll just pass out, would I have liked that end? I guess it's better than being pinned. You know, he showed a lot of fight before it, but he succumbed in the end, just like John Cena did. But he didn't tap. This whole build up to this match was centered around AJ in front of Gunther because he kept mocking John Cena for tapping like a little bit. AJ not tapping except here. Um, yeah, good match. This was a good match. The crowd were in shock, but they soon picked up because next out was Sami Zayn against Drew McIntyre. And damn, man, Drew was pretty dominant this match. He did retain. I expect him to retain. Sami Zayn played the plucky underdog great. It's a good match. Back and forth. I think they've had better matches in the past. But this was still good. I enjoyed it. Normally in Rumbles or Chambers, or, you know, any event like that, War Games even, any event like that where there's two singles matches that kind of sandwich the card, kind of don't really give a fuck singles matches so much because everyone's focused on the two big matches. showpiece matches. Same with Money in the Bank. I think the two singles matches were my favorite part of the shows now, which is kind of reflective of how bad I think both Rumbles. Well, I would say I think the women's Rumble I would classify as a bit bad. The men's Rumble I would classify as mid. Let's put it that way. That's maybe me being generous. This was a decent match. I think it was what it needed to be. They kind of protected Sammy a little bit by at one point he kind of went over rope, did a aerial fence. Um, they saw. I'm not gonna lie, actually, I didn't see the London. I don't know. I was making notes or something, or I was on my phone, or I was rolling a smoke, or I don't know. I looked away from knowing, and then all of a sudden I hear, "Oh, Sammy's held his back." The ref's checking on him, kind of selling. I'm thinking for a sec, "Oh, is he actually legit hit his back?" So I didn't fucking see it. They said he landed feet first and kind of jawed his back. So I don't know how it actually happened, but he sold the back for the rest of the match. Straight away, I knew it wasn't legit. It was a wet injury, I think, because Drew immediately pants on it. He drives him to the outside of the ring, and he really focuses on his back for a while. They had a lot of back and forth in ring. Drew, I love him especially as a heel. I think his mannerisms, just the way he is. He's always shouting at his opponent. He's always mocking his opponent. You can hear him on the cameras. I love that. He's like, "You're not good, Sammy." Um, they trade Helluva Kick and Claymores. Towards the end of the match, Drew got caught by Helluva and instantly rolled out the ring. Shit. Little things like that, I think, are really great. Wrestling psychology of, this guy's a master. Small ring IQ, he used to get right out there. Sammy was so fatigued at that point, he was still selling his back all match that he couldn't get the pin in time. Drew went out, grabbed Sammy eventually, and put him through the ring announcer table. That was a great spot. The refs have gone right to him. "Sammy, you okay?" They're like, "Annie, you okay? Sammy, you okay? You okay? You okay, Sammy?" Drew did not enjoy the Michael Jackson refrain though. Pushed the refs outside, grabbed Sammy, threw him back in, and just brutalized him basically. He did three what's he call them? The shock DDT thing. I forget what the actual name is. Sammy just about kicked out of that. They said this is probably the weakest kick out ever, and I agree, man. I would say this. These guys making art of leg kickouts in this match. I stayed good through an AJ, to be fair. That one made a little more emphasis on the finish because of the career being at stake. But I mean, I suppose the titles at stake here. There were quite a few where I'm like, you can see the refs kind of pulling back a little. And they were like 2.75 counts. Really, really close. One of them where you maybe even it was free if you go back and actually get VAR on the go. As far as Wade Barrett didn't say that. Um, yeah, there were a lot of near falls here. And Sammy did one there, and he just barely got his shoulder off. He was just like, he like flopped like a fish. Sammy does a great job of selling being like really beaten up. Not as good as Ilya, who I think is the master of that. He's the best. He looks like he's been through a war every time. But Sammy's not far behind, which is why they putting them together is just so great. In terms of matches. Yeah, I think this was what it needed to be. Sammy hitting his back in the fashion that he did kind of protects him. Drew, the way he finished it, I thought was great. He'd beaten Sammy down to extent. Sammy got a blue thunder bomb. Oh, he got like the suplex into the turnbuckle and then went to go for Luva. He gets cut off mid ring, and they sold it later on the replay by, he'd injured his back, so he was a little slower going for the Luva than usual. And it gave Drew time to get his claim. Drew went to go pin him and didn't. Yeah. At that point, I'm looking at like, is this hubris? Is his arrogance? His desire to not just beat this guy, but humiliate him, going to bite him in the ass. But no, he went up Position again for another Claymore. Sonny's on his knees, just really, really struggling to get up, really dazed. Turns around. You can hear Drew. Look at me, look at me, look at me in the eyes at me. And then bam. Another Haluva. Pin. One, two, three. Like I said, I just love the little mannerisms he does as a kid. As soon as he won, he just went like that. And then the ref, I'm thinking, what the fuck's he doing? Like, who's the gesture? And then the ref comes in off shot with his title to hand. I just love shit like that. Yeah, he's always arguing with the refs, complaining about conspiracy and stuff. Drew's great, man. So is Sammy. Um, I said in my predictions video, I think Sammy will eventually win the World Championship next year's Mania at Saudi. So it just wasn't his night. But yeah, 0-12 now, it's Drew. Drew had to win his first title defense. I'm not mad at this at all. He knows the heel. And, you know, I love Sammy as face as well. It was the right decision. It was a solid match. Not spectacular, but solid. Um, and yeah, I think both men came out of it with their socks raised. Final match of the night, as it should be, because it was the stacked match. The men's field was better than the women's field, I think. Well, actually, it should have been. Again, like the women's one, I think there were two or three entrants in this men's rumble where I'm just kind of puzzled and like I would have had someone else, but obviously some other circumstance they removed that. I'll cover one right away, for example, Dominic Mysterio wasn't in it. Carmelo Hayes wasn't in the Royal Rumble. Why Mello wasn't in the Rumble, I do not know. That baffled me. That one pissed me off. In fact, you know, I've only just realised that. Why? Why is Mello your US champ? Fucking hell. So, you get Gunther to do double duty. Finn Balor never did get in the Rumble match. I predicted that I can't see why they'd have made such a big deal of masking Adam Pearce to get in this fucking match. What had he done to anger Adam Pearce yet? I know he's a heel, but it's maybe if he'd asked this after he interrupted the CM Punk AJ Styles title match, and Pearce was like, "No, it's full." That'd have made more sense. But he was saying it was full the whole time, and lo and behold, other people were added to the event afterwards, like Brock Lesnar, who declared via the Pat McAfee show, like Damian Priest, who was added to it on SmackDown via Nick Aldis's Tumblr with the help of fucking R-Truth. Why was Finn Balor not in? So there were some glaring omissions. Dom obviously must still be injured, unfortunate as it is. I hope he's back for Mania season. Love Dirty Dom. It's great what he does. And I'm looking forward to maybe having him versus Finn going into Mania. I think that'd be great. So yeah, some big names. The biggest one of all, though, there was no Y2J. Everyone expected Jericho. I must admit, I'm amongst them. I predicted him. I predicted him as my number 30 entrant. By the time we got to like 27 or something, I realised he's not in because I knew who was left. You know, you had Penta, Randy, and Gunther still to come. So at that point, I'm like, oh, it's over, man. It's a shame. It's a damn shame. So, will he even return? I'm sure he will. Will he come back more for in time for Mania season? Maybe Jericho just didn't want to go salary, but fuck that. Or maybe he wanted more focus to be on his return rather than just an element of the Rumble. I understand why you'd want that. I mean, all you have to do is look at like Edge's return, Cena's return, Alexa's return. You know, all these other like iconic Rumble returns. And to see that it isn't necessarily the track. You know, a big return at the Rumble is fucking memorable. Maybe it just wasn't available. I don't know. There's obviously something else going on there. I would expect him surely to finish his career in WWE. He's not in the Hall of Fame yet, and he's obviously a first ballot Hall of Famer. But no ICJ, again, fitting in my theme this tonight, and I didn't even really cover Bianca much from before, but it's different here because with Bianca, I feel like a lot of people, and this is something I predicted, um, a lot of people just assumed she was on the way back with no update. I said this in the previous show. There was no update, no positive rumours, no nothing. And especially early on in the week as well, the Street Profits got added to the NXT Live events that they can't even have fucking bike on. The fuck NXT? What are you doing, Sean? They got the Street Profits on that at least. They can't even add them to SmackDown for some reason. They can't get a match on SmackDown. It was the fucking MFT and the fucking Wyatt Sit. I'm getting angry. I'm pissed off Jericho and you know, this one's different. I think the Bianca fans gaslit themselves into just expecting her to be there. Jericho was available. His contract was up. There was nothing stopping him. I mean, maybe there are in terms of, there's some wrangling issues, there's some other things going on, but we're not privy to that information. There was nothing in terms of the information we're privy to that theoretically stopped this. So I think a lot of people were expecting it. A lot of people were expecting number 30. Again, it got to a point where I think once it was like number 27, 28, something. Yeah, it was just obvious who was left. Um, Disappointing. And when you hear some of these surprise names they had here, I think it's kind of fucking obvious that no one in Saudi knows anything outside of Raw and SmackDown and NXT, I guess. We'll get to that when it comes. I do love how this Rumble started. I think it was a fucking banger start. Now, on SmackDown this week, when Ray Phoenix made his entrance, was it Ray Phoenix? No, it was Fraxin. It was when Axin made his entrance, take on Gargano. Um, there was a big fuck up with the graphic. It popped up, number one, Braun Breaker. And then, it was Nation, it was weights, height, and all that shit. I said that they've obviously fucked up on that. They're probably going to change his number, and we'll probably just make him number two. And I said that kind of jokingly. They actually did. It makes me laugh because it's so petty. Like, why? Number one instead was Obafemi. I do love that Oba was given his entrance. I'm in two minds. I'm kind of torn on whether this was a good booking decision or not to have him in at one. Because we'll get to that. I'll explain why as we review the Rumble, I guess. Ron came out on number two, followed by Heyman. Everyone's excited. This is a vision of the future. Pardon the pun. A WrestleMania main event for the ages one day. Braun and Oba, who I personally would split. I would keep them apart. And the shows, I wouldn't have minded seeing them go at it in the Rumble because it's just a Rumble, whatever. Like, you can have a moment and go for a minute or two, and then someone else comes in and kind of breaks it up. In the end, they stop that from happening full stop. But the rumor is that Oba after this Rumble is going to go to Raw, where Braun also is. I would keep them on opposite shows and have them ascend to the top of each show, and then you preserve that match for a Mania 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever years down the road, and then it's like a huge clash of titans. But it looked like we were going to get it in this Rumble. Everyone's like, "Holy shit, man! Oba versus Braun." Braun Breaker suddenly is attacked from out of nowhere by the Master Man. The infamous Masked Man is back. WWE, especially Triple H, because he loves these masked people. They should just fucking trademark this as a character now. It's like ridiculous. It's always the same look, full black, with the hood up. This guy was dressed like Austin Theory. Assaulted Braun Breaker. Knocked him down. Ended up doing a curb stomp. I'm thinking, the Masked Man's going to pull back his mask. It's going to be Seth freaking Rollins. But now the Masked Man then hops the barricade and runs off. The story now, he'd thrown Braun into the ring before this, I think, and then Oba, you could see Oba like, "Oh, come here," He's like, he's not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. He's been given a ridiculously weakened days from break. All of a sudden, he's bam, clotheslines him over the top rope. Break is eliminated. Uh, Thanks to the masked man. Now, obviously, there's going to be a big playoff of who was the masked man. He was dressed like Austin Theory was, and there were theories that Theory was maybe a mole planted by Seth in the past. Austin Theory is in the Rumble himself later on, as he could argue, or maybe not in that case. But it could have easily have gone back or changed or something. Maybe they go in that direction. Obviously, the assumption is it's going to be Seth, and there's your Mania match. I assume that's where it'll go. Now, the question as to whether non-kayfabe was it actually Seth under the mask? Almost certainly not. They didn't need Seth under that. They've shown you could just have someone go in with the. That's why they masked them and don't unmask there and then. It was. It wouldn't surprise me if it was like some like enhancement talent, or it might have just been Theory. You shown you can do a good curb stop under the mask. Gone in, done that, and then just escape. There's a post show later on. I'm wondering whether, to be fair, the masked man makes an appearance there, or Heyman kind of demands, or there's some kind of continuation of the story. Or maybe they'll wait till Monday. Yeah, I think it's looking now like, because he didn't win the Rumble, Braun Breaker is probably going to end up with Seth Rollins at Mania. And that is a Mania match. I'm hyped for that. Yeah, Oba got off to a banger start. In at number 3 was Solo Sikoa. Number 4 was Rey Mysterio. Number 5 was Rusev. And then before number 6 came in, Oba eliminated all of them. There's some Clash of Titans here. Rusev was not in my predicted list for the lineup. I'm not gonna lie, I just completely forgot about him. The same with Sheamus, who wasn't in this Rumble. I only remembered Sheamus when Rusev actually came out at the time, and I thought this. I was like, oh shit, Rusev wasn't even considered by me in my list. I don't mind Rusev. I like him. I thought his work with Penta uh, for the battle of the IC Championship with Dom around September October time. I thought that was great. They had a series of good matches, all three of them, culminating in a triple threat that was the best. Well, to be honest, it was the only good thing about that Saturday night main event in November, because CM Punk versus Jey Uso was shit, thanks to Jey Uso being awful, and Jay Cargill versus Tiffany was the squash because Tiffany was kayfabe injured. So, yeah, I don't. Um, I guess we'll cover the next one first because this is where it stopped. Matt Cardona came in at number 6. Oba eliminated Matt Cardona before Damian Priest arrived at number 7. So it was looking like at this point, Oba had eliminated the other 5 men to have entered this Rumble. I assume Oba ended up with the most eliminations. It might have been Roman though, or Roman might have tied. Oba never got another Elam after this. He kind of petered out in a sense. So this is why I'm torn. I think it would have been maybe better. I like that he had his entrance, I guess, because his entrance is so much aura. It's just so cool. Everyone gets up for it. The crowd were into it. They were doing the Oba, Oba, and when he comes out, the war cry, the bring the war arrives. It's a spectacle seeing Oba come in and having him Braun lock eyes when it looked like they were about to clash was hype. Um, but when he's eliminating people one by one, etc., he has a big burst of eliminations and then just not another one. And they instead had him play the Iron Man role. I'm pretty sure he did spend the longest amount of time in this Rumble. But it could have been Javon, actually. Yeah, might have been Javon. Because Javon was in at number 8, just after Damien Priest. And Javon lasted quite a long time. I've not seen the official timings yet. I just kind of came straight into recording this after the Rumble. So I'd be interested to see them. It's going to be one or the other. But they were the 2 NXT guys who were really showcased to a good extent. Or, former NXT guys. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think personally, I would have had Oba come in at maybe like an 18 when the ring's kind of full up and just clean house. He's throwing people over. He's launching them. I guess it's kind of a bit more badass that a lot of times these guys were coming in kind of 1v1, who were just going after launching them over. And he just cleaned house in the early phase of the match. But the problem is with that, and then having him in for another half an hour with no evens, he's having to sell a lot. He kind of looked like he lost a bit of steam. Not that he was gassed or anything like that. Zoba's condition's great, and he's still the unit, and he was still. But he became less of a focal part of the match. I think he should have been in as like a best of 5-10 minutes, where he just kind of destroys everyone, rolls through everyone, throws out everyone, and then collides with Brock. He did have a face off with Brock, but it was interrupted a couple of times later on. So, guess the Mania match. I predicted that. I'm excited for that. It's the thing that makes sense. I think he will go over Brock. So, Damien coming at 7. Javon at number 8. Javon almost fell off early. He almost slipped, grabbed onto the ropes, just about hung on. Them fucking long arms he's got. And thank God he did hang on, because we'd never have known how long he would last. John looked great in this match. John is great. Bright future. It didn't surprise me that he had a good show in this match and a long show, because he's the exact kind of guy you want for, like, you know, springboard kind of character. One prediction I didn't make for either of these rumbles are there going to be any kind of like Kofi style saves from elimination? There weren't, which is kind of weird. Sol had an almost one. She kind of went into like a handstand. Sol does a lot of handstands to save herself from the women's one. I thought Javon would maybe do something like that. This was probably the closest near elimination that didn't happen. Now into the rant about the fucking Saudis. Mr. Organa came on, number 9, no problem. So I don't think they know who the fuck he is. Do the Saudis even get access to a AAA? Maybe via YouTube. La Parca was in this rumble later on. Hobbs, Royce Keys from AEW, formerly of AEW, of course. Now signed to WWE, was in this rumble later on. None of these guys got any interaction, really. So yeah, I just don't know whether the crowd know who these fucking people are. And that's a shame, really. Well, he did it. A lot of his spots and stuff, you know, he had his moments, his comedy. He's kind of like backing off at one point, like everyone's down. Oba's behind him. He's like, oh shit. Oba's trying to get him. He just couldn't catch him because fucking guys like wriggling around the place. He had his little prop. But yeah, I just feel like the crowd didn't really give a fuck. Well, I don't think the crowd knew who he was. Maybe they did. They just didn't give a fuck. Either way, I think it went down like a bit of a lead balloon. One entrance that didn't was number 10. After Mr. Garner came Trick Williams. Trick Willie came in to a big resounding chorus of "What That Trick." I hope Trick doesn't end up becoming an entrance like fucking Jay. So, I mean, at least for Trick's entrance, it's crowd doing a chant and stuff. He's not getting gassed from it. But his singles match against Damien Priest a few weeks ago, for example, it was almost like everyone got really hyped, big energy for his entrance, and then they were kind of like the energy sucked from the crowd for the actual match. I hope it doesn't end up being like that, but yeah, his entrance is so cool, man. He got a big pop. Trick eliminated Iguana. I like the fact that they took this time here to do a little stare off between Trick, Javon, and Oba. The only other person in the ring there at the time was Damien. And he was just kind of like in the corner. Because this was last year's main event, Stand and Deliver. These 3 guys have a lot of history, the 3 former NXT guys. Yeah, they did a little stare off. Looks cool. I loved 2025 NXT, man. It was such a good show. So, this spot really made me extra happy. The question now is, of course, which one's Oba going to join? It's going to be Trick on SmackDown or Javon and Raw? And in number 11, we have Cody. Cody Rhodes coming up. Of course, to Big Cheer. Biggest name in the match so far at this point. And number 12, El Grande Americano come in. Did his metal plate slot as well at some point. I think Javon went after him and he put that on. He started fucking head diving everyone. But he wouldn't have too much of a salvo because Chad Gable came in number 13 as the original Americano. It was cheesy. It was kind of fuck, but I liked it. I think everyone expected an Americano versus Americano clash if and when Gable comes back. Um, I didn't necessarily expect or predict there'd be one after another in the Rumble, but I thought there'd be some kind of face off. But yeah, they went at it. In the end, Gable eliminated Kaiser. So the original Americano beat the El Grande Americano of today. How am I even going to refer to these fucking guys? El Grande Germanico and El Grande Americano. Gable eliminated Kaiser. Trick then eliminated Gable. Then Cody eliminated Trick. Now, this one pissed me off a bit. I think Trick should have been in longer, man. I don't know what the fuck they're doing there, eliminating him so early. But, I mean, I guess Solo could maybe argue the same. I've never really been that sold on Solo, honestly. I don't think he's all up. Trick, I am far more so, but from WWE perspective, they see Solo and Trick as about the same level, I think. But still, man, he didn't last very long at all. When you compare it to how long Javon lasted, I was a little surprised. That's no diss to Javon, it's more a support for Trick. I think Trick will go into the US title scene now with Mello. Or, well, in time for Mania. Excuse me. Number 14 was very excited to see this. I've heard a lot of good things. I'm not gonna lie, I've not seen too much of this guy, Hobbs, Powerhouse Hobbs from AEW. I find it kind of strange that they renamed him Royce Keys. This is his WWE name, but I assume that was because they didn't have the rights to his name or whatever. That AEW are. They clearly do because the start of his intro, they did what they did with Zack Ryder into Matt Cardona recently, where the start popped up, Powerhouse Hobbs on the St. John, and then it kind of disappeared, and then Royce Keys came. Just telling you, the commentators went through that way anyway. They obviously didn't name drop AEW, but he's like, oh, this guy's very well known. The Hobbs comes out and he looks the part. He's fucking jacked. He's big. Looks great. I tell you, man, I've heard good things about this dude. I don't know too much about, other than I just know he was kind of a big deal down there. And a lot of people involved with AEW disappointed to let him go. It's not exactly like they released him or anything. He turned down an offer, went with WWE, probably for less money, honestly. Because it wouldn't surprise me if Tony offered more money to try and keep him. Tony Khan is. He went in, he made an immediate impact. He eliminated Priest. And at number 15, the division started coming back in now. Theory came in, Bronson Reed come in. Of course, they're teaming up on anyone and everyone. Number 17 was Ilya, who had been my pre-Rumble pick for Iron Man. So obviously that was dead in the water just because of the entry. Ilya Dragunov was number 17. Number 18, La Parka came in. And again, the Saudi crowd just didn't get full. La Parka's great. But this is one of the spots I probably would have sacrificed for something else. If Jericho had been there, if they had made overtures to him, this is who you drop. I don't know, man. Number 19, Dragon Lee. Number 20, Logan Paul completed the trio of division members. And this is where they started going to work. They eliminated a lot of people before the next entrant. They eliminated Hobbs. They eliminated La Parka and Lee. Then number 21, yeah, LA Knight is back. Fucking so excited. This was a big pop. This was one of the pops of the night for sure. Everyone loves that. Comes out. I love what they did with him. They had to do this, I think, because of the way he was written off TV with the Vision just fucking brutalized him, made him look like a chump. He came in and he went after them immediately, beating down on them. Then they kind of overwhelmed them for numbers and started beating on them. He managed to turn the tide. One by one, he'll even make Theory, then Reed, and then Logan Paul's left, just like before someone else attacks LA. Yeah, him eliminating two of the Free Vision members left. One of them being Bronson Reed, who attacked him as well. I like that. I'm sure he will being inserted into some kind of feud with the Vision. I honestly, the irony given the name, I don't really know where the fucking Vision are going. I don't know if WWE know because they did not have a good show in this run. Paul Heyman as a whole didn't have a great show, and he's fuming. Like he had 5 guys in here, they all got fucked up. None of them won. But generally, where are they going? I mean, Bronson Reed beat Roman Reigns in Perth. And what have they done with him since then? He feels like less of a big deal now. He came in, he got one heel in, the help of his mates. Well, 3, I guess. But he specifically did eliminate Hobbs after his mates kind of saved him. Um, and then combined, they eliminated LePark and Lee. Yeah, it's strange. I'm sure LA Knight will be involved in them some regard in the future. Um, how many division are going to get in the Elimination Chamber, for example? I'm sure Braun Breaker will be involved. I could see LA Knight as well from Raw with anyone else. Maybe Ronson Reed. I don't know. Oh, Oba, I guess, maybe. Who knows? I genuinely, I don't see. I feel like they're drifting right now, division. I still would have given Braun Breaker the championship in November, honestly. And I'd have hold it until CM Punk, who I would have had win the chamber in Chicago. Imagine the pop that would have yielded. And then challenge Breaker. But what do I know? So Knight eliminated those two. Lesnar came in. Heyman wasn't done yet. He was accompanied by Heyman. Lesnar, of course, just takes everyone. He's suplexing everyone and that. You could see Oba kind of waiting for his cue. But like it looked like they were gonna do the stare off at one point because they have to do the stare off. You have to do it. Like I said, Oba started like a fucking freight train. He's just running through everyone. Eliminated the first 5 people. It's kind of like one after another. But then for a while he kind of took a more background role in the Rumble. You're not just gonna destroy everyone for fucking 40 minutes. So it felt like he was a bit more forgotten, but then this is a spot they obviously plan to do. Lesnar goes to do it. I don't know if Ilya had not got the memo, but he kind of tried to get involved, and that got broken up a little. Ilya gets taken out, and then finally Lesnar and Oba have to stare out. The crowd came alive for this. They were into it. And the commentators are selling it. They give a big wide shot. Show the fucking size of him, probably. And it was what happens when the unmovable object comes up against the irresistible force, or whatever the fuck. The Miz's music goes. The Miz marches down to the ring, goes to get in, locks up with both of them. And he's like, oh shit. He just crawls back out the show. Made me laugh. The Miz has always been a good show. Um, he eventually did manage to get the ring. Lesnar eliminated Ilya. Not a great showing from Ilya tonight. My Iron Man, he was, but didn't get in Elam and went out relatively early. But at the end of the day, if you're going to get eliminated by anyone, I guess being eliminated by Lesnar was nothing worse. And Ray Phoenix came in at number 24, and then something I hated. Oprah went to eliminate someone, I can't remember who it was. It might have been Jabot or The Miz or something. Or was it Nine? I don't know, who the fuck knows? Tenders back and Brock. Brock dumped him over. Oprah was gone. Oprah lasted about 40 minutes and then was eliminated by Lesnar. I think it should have been the other way around. If you're going to set up a match at I don't know. I mean, let's discuss this. I think this is the Mania match. Brock Lesnar is such a part timer that he's probably going to disappear now until like March, I expect. So I expect what they'll do is they'll send Oba to either Raw or SmackDown. I personally still think SmackDown needs more, and I think it's better fit for him. But rumor has it they're going to send him to Raw. So he's going to go there, probably just steamroll a bunch of jobbers in the meantime. And I think he's going to keep calling out Lesnar and saying, I want Brock. Eliminate me from the Rumble. We had a stare off, but we never actually went 1-on-1. I know I can beat you. I want you. I think he's going to continue to call him out, until eventually Lesnar does show him. Maybe Lesnar eliminating over here is kind of the fuel for that. They may have thought if any you know if anyone's going to eliminate Over, who could they have it be? Well, it's to be Lesnar, who's like the other beast in the match. I still would have had it the other way around, especially given how Lesnar himself was eliminated. Was fucking disgrace and one of the low points of the night. Absolute fucking joke how this happened. Because no sooner had Oba been eliminated than Jey Uso's music went off. Yeet, and he comes out of the side. For once, I'm not going to blame Jey Uso. I think he's fucking shit. I think he's a hype man, entrance merchant, who's a he's okay tag team. I just don't care for him as a solo at all. He comes out, he's doing his yeeting, and then the camera cuts to Cody Rhodes and LA Knight, who did a brief team up. Both join arms, clothesline Lesnar over. Just like that, he was gone. I was like, what the fuck was it? Commentators barely did. Oh, Rhodes and Knight eliminated Lesnar, and then that's it. I don't even think the crowd realised, because they're all looking at James, so they're doing the fucking yeeting like dumbass idiots. Whose decision was it to have Lesnar, one of the biggest names in this fucking Rumble, who's just eliminated Obafemi, who is the generational face of the future of the entire company for possibly the next 20 years? He's just eliminated him. If they're going to have Lesnar eliminate Oba, don't make it for nothing, because within a minute, it meant nothing. He's just gone. With no fanfare. The crowd didn't even notice because they're fucking eating. It's not Jey Uso's fault. It's just baffling. It's similar to how I thought the timing of having Asuka and Kyrie kind of come to blows after Asuka's mistakenly been eliminated by Kyrie. But then that had to take place second fiddle because Brie came back, and that was like the big return of the women's rumble, if you like. Still, I mean, it's big, but whatever. The crowd liked it. Who is producing these matches? These ones are surefire. You can't fuck this up. I don't know. Maybe Lesnar eliminated Oba too soon. All right. I feel like maybe it was supposed to be Lesnar eliminates Oba, and then Rhodes and Knight eliminate Lesnar before Jey Uso's music comes out, and they kind of just missed a cue on that. I have to assume that because he was eliminated with like no fanfare at all within the arena. There'd be gasps when Lesnar's gone. The only thing I would say is if Oba eliminated Rock, would Rock push a match for them? I'm not necessarily sure he would. I don't know. The other way around, where Oba's appearing weekly on television, you could maybe have Heyman interacting then with Oba and taunting Oba. And Oba saying, like, look, he speaks to Brock Lesnar through Heyman and tries to get him out. I think they are going to collide. They never really had, they had a face off and stuff, but they never really actually fully went off it. They saved on that. They preserved that WWE, which I think is the right thing to do. Save it for Mania. Maybe they'll even drag this the whole way out until, rumor has it Lesnar was going to retire in Minneapolis, SummerSlam in August. It would make sense. Lesnar is Mr. SummerSlam, really. If Shawn Michaels called himself Mr. WrestleMania, in reality it was doing the same, my opinion. If there's a Mr. Royal Rumble, it was Stone Cold Steve Austin, won it 3 times. You know, if there's a Mr. SummerSlam, it's Lesnar, my opinion. So doing that in his hometown makes sense. Oba beating him and retiring him there could be a thing. They could just go the Gunther route. I don't know if they've done Gunther Lesnar yet. And then Lesnar's another one. Gunther adds to his career killer. Now I've said that, actually, I think that is the route I would go. I would have Lesnar over a Mania. I'd have Oba go over. I'd have Brock make occasional appearances here and there after that, if he can be bothered. But I would probably not have him lose again until SummerSlam. And then I've gone for his career. Yeah, I hated that this. I mean, at least it took 2 men to get rid of him, but it was just out of nowhere. It was like the camera was on Uso as well. It was the way it was done. Following him, and then the camera just suddenly cut to, oh, shit, this happened. Oh, yeah, I'm back to the Eat. Like, no. It just made it look like a fucking throwaway elimination. And by extension, Ober's elimination was like throwaway elimination. Ugh. I still stick my mind, Lesnar came out number 22. I'd have had Ober come out about number 19, 18, 19. Demolish everyone for 10 minutes. Just lays everyone out the ring, throws out a bunch of people. Everyone's down, and have Lesnar come out, have them go face to face. I would actually have them trade some blows, go at it for maybe like 20, 30 seconds. Other people try to come in, break them up. They lay them out. They go back at it again, like two fucking titans. And then have this big back and forth where you're wondering who's going to get eliminated. Maybe have Ober backed against the ropes. Brock's trying to clothesline him over, can't do it. And then Ober turns the tide, clotheslines him over, knocks Lesnar out, points at him, gives the shit, and then someone comes behind Ober. Something like that, I would think would have been preferable than having Ober steamroll through people for 5, 6 entrants, then kind of do nothing for the rest of the time. Not do nothing, do nothing like I'm going to remember in the future. So I don't know. I mean, at the least, though, they do seem to go in that direction. It did make Ober look like a beast, could get a great debut. Lesnar looked like beast as usual. He did the business. I just think these eliminations were bad. The stars were all out after because Roman Reigns was out next. The OTC. He got straight to work, eliminated The Miz. Then it was Jacob Fatu come out number 27. Then Penta number 28. By this point, I knew Jericho wasn't there, and I was furious. Cody eliminated Knight after this. Poor LA Knight, man. Forever. Near the end, but he just can't make it. He did at least eliminate 2 of the division. And it's great to see him back. Number 29 was Randy, who did a series of great looking RKO spots, of course. Javon did a big jump at one point. Or was it Penta, I think? He did the RKO. I think he did a few. He did 1 to Penta, 1 to Javon. He was RKOing everyone. He did a double DDT spot as well on Penta and Logan, I think it was. Gunther was number 30. He came out selling his knee because AJ had him in the calf crusher earlier on the match. He came out really limping, playing up to it. And then we had all entrants in. I think we were down to like 7 or 8 at this point. I just listed the elims after this. I don't necessarily remember the spots bit by bit, but Randy did do the RKO off Javon doing a big flip. He then eliminated Javon. Great showing for Javon. He did himself proud. He's one of the bright spots from tonight, in my opinion. Gunther eliminate Penta in an elimination, I think, made Penta look like a bit short, which is a shame. I personally would have put Penta earlier in this Rumble because he's a great wrestler and stuff. And it pisses me off that I've not listed this. When did Phoenix get it? Who eliminated Ray Phoenix? I've not even listed it. So I have no idea who eliminated this guy. I guess I'm going to look it up now. I assume the Wikipedia has been updated. I want to know, was Penta in the ring when Phoenix was in? I don't think he was. And that pisses me off. I'm pretty sure they just fucking had him go down. It's absolutely baffling to me. But yeah, just looking at this, Roman was tied with Ober for most eliminations. The time update's still not on the Wikipedia for anyone except Charlotte Flair, because they actually showed that. She lasted 59 minutes, 49 seconds. They couldn't have given her all of 11 seconds, eh? That's brutal, man. What was I looking at? Hey, it was who eliminated Ray? Lesnar eliminated in 17. Oh, he was out like way sooner then. Yeah. Lesnar ended up getting 3 limbs. So yeah, having Ray Phoenix and Penta, you just keep them apart. It baffles me. Reunite the Lucha Brothers. I would have had them in fucking back to back, even, and have them do some team up. It's I don't get it. They obviously looked at it like, oh, so if we split, then SmackDown can have one lucha, and Raw gets one extra lucha. No, they work great together. They're literal brothers, man. Like, what are you doing? Whatever. Going to eliminate Penta. He went for a big run up and did his handstand off the turnbuckle, but then Gunter just suddenly sprung into life, jumped up and fucking launched him out of it. Cody Rhodes got kind of hung through the ropes, almost for eliminated by someone. I can't even remember who it was. I think it might have been Logan Paul. And then Drew McIntyre, out of nowhere, kicks him in the head and causes him to fall out. Because he just keeps taking out his rivals. They're definitely gearing up, I think, towards Drew versus Cody versus Fatu Mania. And it looks like it'll be Roman versus Punk. Because no sooner did he eliminate Cody, and he's putting in Fatu as well, who's in the Rumble, and he's giving him shit. And then Roman come out of nowhere, eliminating Fatu. Then he eliminated Jay. Then he eliminated Logan. The Roman just sprung into life. Jay had tried to turn the tide on Roman after briefly teaming up. You know, the second Roman entered the Rumble, Jay kind of looked at him and he fucking slapped the shit out of him. When will Jay ever learn? He's just like the Kyrie to Roman's Asuka in a lot of ways. Except he tries to fight back a little more. He just gets his ass kicked quicker though. So once Logan was gone, then they were free. No sooner had Roman eliminated Logan, then he made a mistake. Turned his back on the Viper. Michael Cole called this. Turned around into an RKO. But then, out of nowhere, the second RKO went off. Gunther eliminated Randy. Gunther was, this whole time, looking exhausted. Selling his injury, selling his match with AJ. There was a big back and forth. They were in the ring for 2 or 3 minutes before this was resolved. A lot of sleeper attempts. Roman trying to fight out of it and stuff. Eventually, after about the third sleeper, standing sleeper, this is applied by Gunther. Roman dives forward, launches Gunther's head into the turnbuckle. Gunther relinquishes, staggers backwards, then a two-ha spear. That was awful. I can't do the Roman one. I'm leaning back. I feel like you need the lung capacity forward of a spear. Then picks him up, launches Gunther. I'm pissed off the winner of this. I said this before. If Roman is no longer going to be a fucking part-timer, then by all means. Well, even Cena last year, you know, when he turned heel after winning the Chamber, he didn't appear on SmackDown for another 2-3 weeks. What the fuck? Yeah, what the fuck is that? We want someone who's going to be there week in, week out, at least every fortnight, building stories with the champions. You know, he has a choice now of Drew or Punk. I think it's pretty obvious to give him to Punk. And I think that will be your night 2 main event, Roman versus Punk. But yeah, it's still not something I would have done. They could have been braver, man. I would have given it to over Roman. I would have given it to Braun over Roman. I mean, again, obviously they're redirecting both of them to solid matches anyway now. Still, I don't. I even would have preferred, honestly, Cody versus Punk. So what you could have maybe done is have Cody. I guess Cody couldn't win. You could have him win the Chamber though, and take on Punk, and maybe have. But who would win the Rumble then? Fatu, maybe could have won the Rumble. I wouldn't have minded that, to be fair. But then Cody just kind of inserts himself into the match anyway, which would get a lot of heat. But if Cody became heel and inserted himself to the match, I think that would be really interesting. I don't know. I just nothing is Roman. I didn't boo. I wasn't upset per se. I just watched it and was kind of like, hmm, oh well, okay, just nothing. It got nothing. It evoked nothing in me because this guy who was champ for 4 years is being positioned that way again. Another main event. How many times has this guy main event WrestleMania in a row? It's got to be like 10, 11, 12. He came out on the Pat McAfee show. He criticized. He was very vocal about how bad they are at making new stars. They're giving all of these younger guys the opportunity sets and they're not standing out. They're not doing this. They're not doing that. He was half in character, yes. But I do think that is a belief that he has. He just ramped it up to 11 maybe. But, you know, what can the new guys do? This is how you make stars. You make a Fatu in the Rumble and solidify himself as the main event at WrestleMania. You have a Braun Breaker. They could have positioned this differently. They could have booked this differently long term. Like I said, I would have had Braun Breaker win the fucking championship long ago. In November after he took out Seth Rollins. I'd have had him enter that battle royale that night. I'd have had him win it. I'd have had him go into Saturday night's main event against Punk. I'd have had him win it. And then eventually have Punk win the chamber. Punk versus uh, Braun. I guess maybe they were always holding off on the hope that Seth would be back for Mania for Seth versus Braun. That looks like that is going to be set up now. But yeah, I'm just sick of it, man. 2 times he's won the Rumble now. Roman. Cody's won it twice. Randy's won it twice. Can you give a young guy a big win for once? Even when they do, it goes nowhere because they don't know what to do. Like Roman did lose to. Maybe this is what pissed him off. He's got a point there because I said it myself before. He lost to Bronson Reed in Australia, and then he's probably sat at home watching like, what the fuck are they doing with Bronson Reed? He lasted about 10 minutes in the Rumble tonight. He got eliminated in a 1v2 situation with Austin Theory by his side against LA Knight. Can we blame Roman for coming out with this? Not really. But I don't know, man. They're just so reluctant for whatever reason to move on from these 40 plus year old main eventers that consistently there and the talent is there. But it's too soon to push over, you could have. I could go with that for sure. But Braun Breaker, he's been positioned over the last year or so. Was that not the point of the division? They're at risk of having a meander now. And I don't know how I feel about it. So, all in all, I think this match was better than the women's one for sure. Especially the first 20, 30 minutes of the women's one, I really didn't like, honestly. I mean, there's too many SmackDown women in there, and at the end of the day, SmackDown women just aren't as good as the Raw women. I mean, the Alexa elimination looked like it may have been a botch, and I was just upset at how early that was anyway, because she's my favourite. So I kind of lost interest for about 5, 10 minutes after that. Once, the one I wanted to win was out. The one I really want to see in the men's rumble wasn't even there. In fucking Jericho, no Tatum, no Blake in the women's rumble. They've got Ivy and Candice. Are you fucking serious? They can't even get booked on Raw and SmackDown. There were mistakes in this show, man. There was a lot of things I would change. I think 6 is generous. Like I said, I think that my 2 favorite parts, honestly, were the singles matches in between. The matches that I decided not to make notes for because I knew I would be making so many notes in the Rumble and I would need time to kind of catch up. Um, Unfortunately, they were the 2 I had to talk about less because I didn't make notes. But yeah, like there've been worse Rumbles I've seen in the past, but not many. Honestly, I would rank them on a lower bar. I mean, the men's Royal Rumble last year was much better. It had a worse winner for sure, but I don't think this year's winner is very imaginative. Roman's great, and he is main event level. Obviously, he is the face of the company still, I think. But at some point, when are they going to take this step of putting someone else in there? Now, if it ends up being Cody versus Drew and me, and Fatu was not involved. I'm fucking close to being done. I'm sick of waiting. It's the same with the women. They, I get this is how wrestling's always going to be. They are people on top for a while. It's a cycle that spins. The women, it's not quite as bad, actually. In fact, it's nowhere near as bad. The equivalent is having still Becky constantly as champ, Alexa, Charlotte, Bailey, Asuka, all these women who've been around. I feel like they've gone too far the opposite way, actually. And they never really give them championships anymore. For Alexa, it's been 8 years. Charlotte's been 3 years. Becky, it's been 3 years. Bailey, it's been 2 years. Only Asuka, it's been 4 years, I think. It's crazy. They are at least trying to make young new stars in the women's division. They're making putting Tiffany there, putting Stephanie there. They've had Jade there. I say you start Jade's like a year with Alexa, but you know what I mean. They're trying to make trying to turn the wheel faster, having different people on top. Whereas with the men, it's just you have to be 40 basically to fucking do it. Remember Braun Breaker coming out in a promo a while ago when he was making fun of that basically. God, I'm sick of these fucking old men, 50-year-olds being at the top. It would not surprise me, honestly, if there is a very real divide in the locker room where it's like that. When did WWE become WCW? Of just keeping the old guys on top? And Roman can come out and say, oh, some guys have not done their business, that's why they're not putting them there. No, it's just the bookers are fucking pussies. They're absolute fucking pussy. They're scared to pull the trigger. And we're in danger of waiting too long. If Braun Breaker is, I'm going to give them benefit of the doubt for this one because him versus Seth is a natural Mania match. It makes sense. And he's still working with a main event level talent, Braun. How much longer are you going to give it? If he doesn't win the World Championship this year, something's seriously wrong. If Braun Breaker doesn't win it. Or if Ober doesn't win it, if he's on Raw. If Braun doesn't win it because Ober ends up winning it, I'm fine with that. As long as one of them fucking wins it. It's just. It's safe booking. It's an imaginative booking. It's repetitive booking. And is it a misogynistic thing that the women, once they get over 30, whatever, are often taken out of the limelight for mid-20s women? Why is that not the case for men? I think it's the other way around. Honestly, I pull for the other way around a lot with the women. A lot of my favorite women are Alexa, Charlotte, Becky, Asuka, Bailey. I would have them as fucking champion over Stephanie Vaquer and Jade Cargill or fucking Tiffany Stratton or even Liv right now. Because I think Liv's a little overplayed. She's been champion a few times in recent times. She's had a lot of big wins. Like, I mean, that's a harsh one on Liv. She's won 2 world championships before. She definitely deserved a Rumble, but I just prefer the women of the era. And I get Liv's been around since about 2016, so technically she is that. But I don't know, man. It's just the women's world championship scene. I feel like they're quick to dismiss some of the originals, some of the veterans, but they're the complete opposite on the men's side, and it baffles me. So all in all, yeah, I was a little disappointed with the winner of this. Um, if he continues being a part timer, then I'm going to get mad, and there are going to be rants. I expect if for sure if the show is in Saudi on Monday, Roman will be on Raw. I think we may even get the decision on who he's challenging as soon as that. He may go straight after Punk. We shall see. He might have already done it. I'm gonna finish this video and then go see if there are any highlights from the post match show. There's normally there are, or there's some interesting comments at least. So we'll see. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll be back. When will I be back next? I don't know. Honestly, I'm still not entirely sure what I'm doing. I just tend to do shows when I feel like it, whether it be preview or review or whatever. So am I going to do a weekly thing? I never go too long. I don't think I've ever gone more than like 9 or 10 days without doing one of these, whether it be a SmackDown review, Raw review, NXT review, a PLE review, whatever. But I think the next PLE now is Elimination Chamber, which is start of March. Yeah, about a month. I love the Chamber. Obviously, in the weeks to come, there's going to be Chamber qualification. It's going to be interesting to see. Chamber is my favorite PLE of the year, honestly. Rumble's right up there too, but yeah, I think it was a bit of a meh show. 6 out of 10, a C plus, maybe a C average. I guess five's average, so we'll call it C plus. But yeah, it flattered to deceive. I don't think the crowd was. They were good in spots. I don't think overall they were great. I am staggered how empty the Women's Rumble. They just didn't give a fuck to even show up for the Women's Rumble. So there was a lot wrong tonight. Very unimaginative with the returns, etc. Let me know your thoughts though. Did you enjoy the show more than I did, perhaps? I've seen some conflicting reports already. Like in the 5-10 minutes I had between watching the show and stopping this up. Or, during our breaks during the show, I've seen some people say, oh, it's a shit show, it's great, it's this, it's that. And yeah, it should be interesting to see what happens on Raw. We had 2 Raw superstars win the Rumble tonight. So are they going to declare as soon as Monday? It's Raquel versus Stephanie Vaquer on Monday. That is going to be very interesting now, with Liv winning Rumble. Who's going to help? I could see Stephanie Vaquer winning the championship on Monday, and then Liv instantly attacking her and saying, coming after you. And then Roxanne's just kind of caught in the middle. We'll see what she does. Maybe Liv attacks Raquel, Roxanne. Her first comes in. He's like, stop. And then she attacks Raquel as well. Could they turn Raquel face? I'm interested to see how they're going to do this, for sure. I think the winner was boring choice, but there is definitely potential to do something here. Yeah, maybe the Judgment Days days are numbered. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, guys. Let me know what you thought of the show, and I'll see you when I see you. Don't know what then the next show will be. When there's a good enough show or a significant enough show that I feel like I need to do a review, I will do.